2 days of Ohio State preseason practice in the books. Buckeye Talk was here for both of them. I'm Nathan Baird, along with Stephen Means, Doug Lesmerises from cleveland.com. We're talking about what we've seen from offensive players for the first couple days. Doug, interesting situation at running back. You've got TreVeyon Henderson at the top of the list, and then a couple guys below him, a younger guy in Evan Pryor, veteran in Mayan Williams, that are competing to be that second guy on the field. And one of those guys is kind of at the front of your mind right now.
So Mayan Williams, I don't know if people know this about me, but I'm wrong sometimes. And I've been skeptical of Mayan Williams, I think it's fair to say, and I've particularly been skeptical of his role as like a power back in this offense. But we talked to running backs on Friday, like he talked about that a lot. And he was talking about like they want me to, I lost weight, but I got stronger, and like I might be the guy on 3rd and 2. And I'm like, you're really going to take, I didn't say this to him, but I still think like TreVeyon Henderson might be the best running back in the country, and he's not going to be in the game in those situations. But Mayan Williams, I think, did reshape his body a little bit. And I was talking to somebody today, and they just said like he's a draft pick. And it's just like, maybe I'm too skeptical on Mayan Williams. It's 2 practices in, but I am preparing for my skepticism to flutter away, because maybe this guy has got more than I have thought, and he's really got his body in shape, and he runs in a different way than the other 2 guys, and maybe I need to open my eyes a little bit about Mayan Williams.
So obviously Ohio State wants to correct some things that happened in the running game last year, make it more efficient, make it more powerful, as you're saying, on some of those short yardage situations, 3rd, 4th downs. Part of that is going to be the offensive line, and the guy that is kind of I've had my eye on a little bit is not even actually in the starting offensive line, but just to see that Zim Michalski is making progress, is kind of taking that left tackle spot on the second string right now. And it's important because they need depth on the offensive line this year. The guys who have been maybe providing it the most, Enoch Vamahi and Josh Fryer, are sort of like utility guys a little bit. They can do some tackle, they can do some guard. Zim Michalski's a tackle, and they needed some more like capital T tackles on this team. And to see him just sort of making that progress, it may not even become a huge issue for this year. It could be a big one for 2023, and I think this preseason camp, you like to be focused on what's immediately in front of you and how important this progress is going to be for this team. This is maybe the one position where I think it's okay to start saying, what progress are we seeing right now that could pay off for this team in 2023, because it's such a critical position and potentially such a huge absence. Stephen, what has caught your eye on offense?
Yeah, to the point Doug was making with Mayan, TreVeyon said he likes to split people's faces. So, I mean, that's the best way that you can describe a power back. You talked about Mayan. I'm going to talk about Evan Pryor, because it seems like all the weight that Mayan Williams lost, Evan Pryor was supposed to find it. And then he found too much of it. I was talking to him over to the side after he did his stuff, and he got to the weight he was supposed to be at in the spring. He actually looked really good. And then they were off for a month because, the entire month of May, and he started eating a bunch, and so he got a little bit too big. And so then he had to slim down and get back to the weight that he is now. But that's been the thing with Evan Pryor, is getting here and going through a physical transformation that he knew would take a year. That was kind of explained to him through the recruiting process, that he wasn't going to be ready to play day one the same way that TreVeyon Henderson was. And so he looked at that, was motivated by it, and now he's ready to compete with Mayan Williams to be the number 2 guy. And like Mayan Williams, he kind of gives a different element. He has some of that home run hitting ability like we saw in the spring game, like TreVeyon Henderson. And he's also a pass-catching threat, which we saw TreVeyon Henderson be at times as well. So it's important for a running back to be that. I'm not saying that he's going to turn into this 3rd down running back in passing situations, but he does possess some of the same elements TreVeyon Henderson has, even if it's not necessarily the same ceiling. And that's interesting to see, when instead of maybe going to a power back who maybe switches things up, what if you just got TreVeyon Henderson for 12 straight carries, and now you're getting Evan Pryor, who's giving you the same thing for 4 or 5?
We already broke down day 1 of practice on Buckeye Talk. We're going to go break down day 2 right now, find out wherever you can find podcasts, and get the text 614-350-3315 intel from what we see at practice and what we hear in interviews as soon as we see it and hear it at Buckeye Talk.